Hello and welcome to Pansy Plays. This is a informational episode of more of a FAQ guide on crafting armors and biomes, learning more about the biomes and what we need to know in those biomes. If you're having issues finding specific materials, or if you're having issues working through getting the correct armor sets to make it through areas, well, this episode's for you. So, we are actually going to jump into a survival world I have active, just because I'm able to move between biomes pretty quickly, and I can talk through most of those biomes fairly easily and what's important in those biomes. So, perfect timing. Here we are. Alright. So, there are quite a few biomes in the game. The most basic one that you will pretty much always start in is this bright forest biome. It's marked by a light green. The enemies you'll find are going to be much more natural. So boars, wolves, werewolves, and the Docklefar. This area is really pretty low level. For the most part, the important things you're going to get are going to be wolf teeth to help you move to level 2. And evening Rowan drops are helpful for getting lightning gear up a little bit higher. So I can show an example of that. Albus Hammer 2. So evening Rowan drops, you need 5 of them. And then same thing with Albus level 3, evening Rowan drops, and of course werewolf fangs are always helpful. Same thing for... Can I just navigate like that? Nope, okay. Nornir Axe needs werewolf fangs. Rowan drops for the hammer. Werewolf fangs. Yeah, Rowan drops pretty much just for the hammer, and I think the armor as well. Yeah, Rowan drops for the armor. So that's mainly Bright Forest's help with lightning hammer, lightning armor, and then all the basic stuff with the wolf teeth and the Hessier. Sorry, not Hessier. Yes, Hessier sword up to 3 with the Docklefar thorns. That's pretty much the main things you're going to get out of Bright Forest. Land of Pools is marked by this kind of yellowish color. The stuff that you need in here is going to get you into tier 2, so this is mainly to get you into Raider or Hessier. The small bones are really helpful for that. Raider, you need the silver, and all of your Nornir stuff's going to come from these marvelous creations called Linorms that drop Linorm spikes, which you need for effectively every lightning weapon that's out there, with the exception of the Albus Spear, because that's a weird thing. Albus is a weird guy. So, let me go find a Linorm so we can look at one of those. There's some bunnies. I know that some spawn right around here from what I recall. Silver is super important in here. It's a really, really good resource to have. The goblins will drop small bones, which is useful for getting Hessier armor. So there it is. That's a Linorm. These guys will drop Linorm spikes. They're pretty easy. They literally have one attack as long as you're close. They'll keep swinging their tail at you. And as soon as you hear the sound effect, you just back up. Occasionally they'll do the chomp. If you get hit by the chomp, you can be stunned. That's pretty much all there is to these guys. They're really easy. Once you get used to them. I also recommend not fighting them until you're level, or until you have green weapons. They take a long time to kill with great weapons. So, alright. That's pretty much it for the lightning area, or for Land of Pools. Is Linorm spikes. They're tough to come by if you can't find them. That's the only thing that drops them. So, and at night, you will find these delightful things called mushroom moon bolts. So, these stormcap mushrooms, they look like this. At night, they will glow. And you need those for most of the lightning weapons as well, with the exception of the Albus stuff. So, great to have mushroom moon bolts. Typically don't need too much, but it's a good way to spend your first night is tracking those down if you're doing any sort of lightning builds. Alright. So, Land of Pools. Fire area, the Smoky Highlands. So, in the Smoky Highlands, this is where you're going to get most of your fire weapons and any of your fire armor, such as Golvigs. The key resources here. And if you ever wonder what key resource in the area is, you can always come to the sorcerers to check. Interesting enough, there are no trees to chop in the Smoky Highlands, so you cannot find wood here. But stone and iron are pretty common to come by. They also have vines, mostly just for Fenrir stuff. Obsidian's good for ember stuff. So Brynolfar Amber drops off the Brynolfar enemies, which you can kind of see one up here. Garnet, you need a ton of that for most stuff. I'll come back to gold. It's not super useful unless you're playing specific builds. And then large bones you will need for the purple tier fire weapons. So that's mainly the stuff. This is what an obsidian deposit looks like. They're kind of these just kind of jagged looking rocks. Garnets are real easy to spot. They're bright red. Let me see if I can find some here. There's one. Not what I meant to do. So yeah, garnet, bright red, real shiny. Almost kind of orangish in the correct light. That's what a spent one looks like. The other thing is I accidentally demolished some when those guys died. Was the skeletal remains, which is also really great to have. So if you're kind of low level or you're just trying to blitz through it quicker, which is always a great thing to do, you don't really have time to fight a troll. So skeletal remains, kill these guys over here. Skeletal remains look like this. They have a chance to drop small bones and large bones, which is awesome. Makes getting large bones a whole lot easier. So, alright. So that's it for the fire area. Is mainly garnet, obsidian, the two things you mine. There's nothing to chop. And then Brynolfar Amber you're going to need for a lot of fire weapons. And the same thing with the large bones you'll need for fire weapons as well. Alright. That was weird. And then the next up is Glacier Peaks. So Glacier Peaks is going to give you your frost weapons, so anything in the ice territory. The main resources here, actually I'm just going to go to the cellar because that's a whole lot easier. Oh, do we really not have him? Oh, that's... Oh, there he is. Okay. Thank you, Queen Hell. That's so helpful. Okay, so Glacier Peaks. The main resources that you're going to find here is going to be the Sapphire, which you really don't need in Saga at all. But the Unfrozen Talismans is the main thing that's you're going to get out of Glacier Peaks. Is you need the Unfrozen Talismans for any sort of ice build. They just take a ton of them, and they're not super easy to come by. So Sapphire if you feel like making gold armor, but outside that you really don't need it. But yeah, Glacier Peaks you don't spend a whole lot of time in unless you're just farming out the Unfrozen Talismans. So wolves will spawn in any biome except the Land of Pools. There will not be them at Land of Pools. So we're just going to transition down here to Ash Beach. Ash Beach has a handful of really helpful stuff. So on the beach you will find Amethyst and Aquamarine. Aquamarine is useful for certain armor sets. Amethyst is good for a lot of the dark armor sets. Starlit Seaweed is going to be your main resource down here that you need, mostly for Utgards or any sort of high-level ice weaponry. Unsunken Talisman's more for the dark weapons. If you need to make any of the dark weapons, it's good. And then Unsunken Amulets is also need for ice weapons. So there's just a lot in the Ash Beach that you could definitely use in a run. So also something to take a look at is recipes. If you are looking to build a certain item, you can always just go into your recipe and go check what it needs, and then just right click it and it'll tag it. and it'll keep track of any time you get one of those resources and add it in. So, Aquamarine, Unsunken Talisman, or Unsunken Amulet, Unfrozen Talisman. We know exactly where to get all those. That's Ash Beach and Frost. We literally just talked about it. Same thing with those. And then that's pretty much it for the ice weapons. The armor itself is Utgard's. There's only one true Frost set, and that's Starlit, Unfrozen, Aquamarine. Hey, look, just what we were talking about. We'll talk about the second set of Frost as we make our way into the next biome, which I would consider one of the 2 unique biomes, which is going to be Niflheim, this underworld, the Underdark, if you will, hell in a way. So, coming on down here, there is not specific vendors down here. It's pretty hostile. But you will find a lot of great resources down here, such as the Stormcap mushrooms that are always glowing. Well, it should be glowing. But anyway, you can get moon bolts. This is kind of the glowing night effect. This kind of swirling with the lines. That indicates it's in its night state. So the other resources you'll find down here are Frost Blooms and Ice Bursts. Here's a really good example of both of those. Ice Burst, Frost Bloom. You need to mine that, and you sickle that. So, what those build for you is a lovely thing. Oh, that's funny. Steiner the Blacksmith builds that. Ha! He's not here. Is the Niflheim set. So there's a couple of different Niflheim weapons. There's the sword and the spear. So Ice Burst, Frost Bloom. Otherwise, it's Unsunken Amulets, which we know to get from the beaches. Which will also drop off the large beach enemy, and Draugr Waystones, which require you to defeat Draugr, which is that mean spear dude that attacked me when I got off the elevator. Or, I guess it's... here's one. This guy right here. These are Draugr. It's the only type of Draugr. They're technically considered undead. They're not elite enemies, but they're pretty mean to fight. They shoot ice at you. So... they will drop Draugr Waystones occasionally, so it's pretty tough to come by. Getting a full set of Draugr anything isn't exactly easy. You have to spend a ton of time down here in order to get it. I typically don't recommend it, but if you like it or you got a good way to do it, go for it. The other thing is the Niflheim armor set can also be got from down here, which you can only guess that it takes Draugr Waystones and Ice Burst. So, it's its own kind of unique biome. Shifting gears into a different unique biome, the other one is Surtur's lair, also known as Volcanic Spire. The Volcanic Spire is the secondary fire area that has all the different fire bits that are normally there. They stand on their own fire stuff. But also has a couple of other unique resources that you can get that you'll need. Namely, this right here. Let me find one on the ground. Yeah, fine. So this is Pyrestone. Pyrestone's needed for most of the Ember stuff. In fact, it's needed for pretty much all the Ember stuff. And it has a nighttime variant. It's one of the few rocks that actually has a nighttime variant that gives you Twilight Pyrestone if you mine it at night. So, get some Pyrestone. Pyrestone's used for Ember weapons, with the inclusion of the bow, because it's not named in the same schema. So, technically needs obsidian, but anyway. So yeah, Lava Tier lava, which is gotten from the Lava Tier enemies found at either the outposts or here in the Spire. Pyrestone, which we just found. And Brunofar Orb, which is from the Brunofar Witches. Because you know how there's Docklefar Witches that we found in the Bright Forest. There's fire versions, and they're very, very mean. And they hit pretty hard. So yeah, you got Obsidian, Lava Tier, and Pyrestone as requirements for this, so we find all that here. You can't really get Pyrestone super well outside of this area, so there's not a way to get it early. The Lava Tier lava you can get from the outpost if you get enough of it. Obsidian and oil can be found elsewhere, so there's really not a good way to get embers earlier than getting 2 surters. So, one more area that I will talk about is the islands, because they have a unique set of stuff. Kind of catching a trend here, where everyone's kind of got their own thing going on. Is the islands are different than the beaches in kind of a weird sense. So we'll head down here to... what's a good island? Here we go. So the islands will have Selkies and Fosgrim, which are unique to islands themselves. So these are Selkies, and these are Fosgrim. They're unique to the islands. That's the only reason that you ever need to come out to islands, is for a material they drop called Selkie Flippers, and a material they drop called Fosgrim Fumes. So Selkie Flippers and Fosgrim Fumes. Now what these will do is they'll get you the secondary dark stuff, so what's known as Serpent, the Serpent sets. Satyr, you just need Healthing Rings, Yarn, and then Midnight Years, or Midnight Yew, so it's fairly easy to get. But the actual full dark set that gives you the dark up and the poison proof, you need Amethyst from beaches, Midnight Yew Tears yet again, and of course Selkie Flippers, which is fairly annoying to track down because you have to come out to islands in order to get it. For the weapons side of it, you don't need it for Satyr or Siggins, but for Serpent, you will need the Selkie Flippers to get the axe. And really the only thing that I think uses Fosgrim Fumes, as far as I know, is the Your Commander stuff. So his gold weapon and his gold armor are the only thing that uses the fumes. And a shield. Yeah, so really don't need to worry about it too much. It's just getting the Selkie Flippers. So technically you could get a full set of Serpent just by purchasing the Selkie Flippers from the beach guide before you even get out to the islands. So that could be helpful. You never know. So yeah, so that's just kind of a general breakdown of biomes and tracking down where you need to find whatever you're looking for. So yeah, just as a quick recap, Bright Forest is going to cover pretty much everything villager, and all the way down to, yeah, anything that's non-elemental can all just be gotten in Bright Forest. So once you get into the blue, you'll need to go outside of Bright Forest because you'll need small bones or silver from Land of Pools. Lightning, so the Nornir axe and bow, you'll need the Linnorm spikes, the Mushroom Moon bolts, both from the Land of Pools. Werewolf fangs you can find from any werewolves, which is fire, ice, or Bright Forest. Yes, and of course, the Alvis hammer. You need the Linnorm spikes, the werewolf fangs, and you need Evening Rowan drops, which comes from Bright Forest. Forgot to talk about Alvis because it's kind of annoying. So Alvis, you need kelp, and for the Alvis armor, you need, you guessed it, kelp. Well, kelp comes from fishing, and fishing is kind of annoying because it's random what you get. Maybe it's better just to purchase it or loot some kelp out of a chest. If you want to do an Alvis full build, might want to get used to fishing and getting used to getting kelp, because otherwise it's really not that intensive as far as requirements, because werewolf fangs and mushroom moon bolts are fairly easy to come by. So yes, so Niflheim stuff is all required to go underground because you need the Draugr Waystones and the Ice Burst and the Frost Blooms. Utgards, you got to go out into the ice area to get the Unfrozen Talismans. Serpent Tongue and Serpent Gnasher you can get technically before you get out to the islands, but easier once you're on the islands. Ember and Golvig, get it all in the desert. Siggins, same thing, you can get that just with a little bit of desert, but mostly Bright Forest. And Musclepine Mall, all desert all day. So, and the armors pretty much match. Villager, same thing, you just need leather, super easy to get. Leather and small bones, which is, you know, maybe the desert if you want to go in there first at night, or go into Land of Pools. The Raider is the silver, so Land of Pools. Feral is the last standard gear set, so you get silver from Land of Pools, and you need boar bristles from Bright Forest, plus the yarn, which is dropped from any of the undead, so either the frost guys or the beach, or you can convert it with enough fur if you've been killing a bunch of things that drop fur. Nornir is also yarn. Evening Rowan drops from Bright Forest at night. Linum spikes from Land of Pools. Satyr, yarn, yet again. All the blue stuff requires yarn. That's just how you make the blue sets of armor. It's just all yarn. So, Satyr, healthing rings from either defending at night or going into the Niflheim early, and then picking off U-tiers at night. Golvigs, all desert. Niflheim's underground. Utgard, out in the beaches at night. Frost area. Serpent is all from a little bit of everything. Beach, island for the Selkie, and then tiers from night. You pretty much just need to go to Surtur's Domain. You need to fish / go to nighttime and Land of Pools. And then Valor is the only set of armor that uses gold. So you just got to track down gold from underground, or these beaches out here, or in Surtur's Domain in the Volcanic Spire. War bristles, of course, and that should be it. So there you have it. Pretty much you don't need anything past silver. You don't need crystals, so there's no point. And there you go. Shields will match pretty much everything as well. Just more of the same resources. You can kind of pick up on, like, okay, like, I've figured out that there's beach, which gives me serpent stuff. There's the desert, which gives me Golvigs. There's the Land of Pools, which give me Nornir. There's Bright Forest, which give me Villager. There's Glacier Peaks. I don't know why I can never remember Glacier Peaks. Glacier Peaks give you Utgards. Island for Serpent. Niflheim for Niflheim. Surtur for Ember. And then a blend for Valor and a blend for Albus. So that's pretty much a good walkthrough through biomes. I'll quickly touch on temperatures since we're in the subject of biomes. Land of Pools and Bright Forest in the day, perfectly fine. You don't need anything. Ash Beach in the day, perfectly fine as well. The desert at night, perfectly fine. You can be naked for all those and not have any issues. Desert during the day, you'll need a little bit of heat resistance. The exact number to enter is 15, so once you have 15 pieces of heat resistance, it no longer bothers you. To hang out on the beach at night, you need about 10 ice resistance. That's really not a whole lot at all. For the actual desert during the day, so desert's good. And then the ice area itself, you need a fair amount just to hang out. Golvigs is obviously the lowest, easiest to get. And then Niflheim, you need, I think, about 45 pieces of ice to survive. And for Surtur, I think it's 30. I'm pretty sure it's 30 to hang out at Surtur. Heat resistance. So there you have it. There's the biomes with whatever gear you got. So thanks for tuning in this one. I'll try to keep it short, but apparently I just like talking about stuff. So here we are. Yeah. So cool. Thanks for tuning in for biomes. We'll catch you in the next one where we can talk a little bit more about getting some ancients down. Thanks for watching.